when your child tells you, when your 5-year-old child tells you that it feels like 1,000 knives going into his head, you know that there's something wrong.
We were sitting in the waiting room waiting for him. It had been hours. And, you know, around the corner comes this huge medical team. And you realize in that moment that they're coming for you. So they stood us up and they moved us away from everyone and said, you know, your son is a golf-size brain tumor. It's called a craniopharyngioma. The brain tumor had gotten so big that it caused hydrocephalus. So all of his headaches were because his brain pressure was too high and his brain was pushing up against his skull.
I think being a paramedic helps with the understanding part of it, but when it's your child, it's completely different.
He was admitted into the PICU, the intensive care for PEDS patients. It's a really interesting environment because it's very, very loud and there's lots of beeping and everything, and we called it the glass condo.
We were stuck inside a single room, basically, and Josh was hooked up to all these wires and tubes, and him having to be poked and prodded every 30 minutes was really difficult. After his surgery, he didn't have the stamina as he once did. You know, things like walking down the hallway was a struggle for him.
One of the little boys that was actually in the hospital at the same time was going through the wish process. The very next day or two, we had a doctor's appointment, and our doctor happened to mention it and said, you know, Mike is doing a Make-A-Wish, and we really think that you guys should consider that as an opportunity for Josh.
And his first thought was to play flag football. I'm like, let's think something bigger than that. And then he said, well, I would like to go to outer space. I'd like to go to the moon. I said, well, okay, let's bring it back down.
Nothing seemed to fit. I mean, he didn't light up until he started talking about learning to ride a horse and being a cowboy and what would it be like to visit a ranch. And then, you know, during the conversation, the whole vibe of the conversation really changed, and we could feel it. Like, this is where his energy is. And from that point forward, it was like a constant celebration of what was coming. They presented Josh with all kinds of cowboy outfits and chaps and his vest. Just really amazing inclusion into that family, like immediately.
I think was really overwhelming to see that many people come together. And that continued once we got to New Mexico.
You know, they said, by the way, the town's come together, they want to do this rodeo for you, and we're like, oh, that's so nice. And it was amazing just thinking about it, but then when we got there and we just saw the community came together to rally around and support Josh, you know, the sheriff was there and state representatives were there, and Miss New Mexico was there, and the rodeo queen was there, and it was all for Josh.
Everything that they did for him was really overwhelming to the whole family, I think. And it was, you know, I had to take a step back midway through and say, you know, is this really happening?
You know, I think that was the turning point and the best part of Make-A-Wish. Yes, the adventure and just all that entailed. But the sweetest part of it is that we learned to stop and recognize what a champion he is.
Make-A-Wish is a great organization for kids like Josh and many others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.